Here is our big question. How have rivers, mountains, and deserts shaped the development of China's first dynasty, Shang? So remember, we're starting 4,000 years in the past, and we are looking at the Shang dynasty, which started around 1600 BC. It's going to last for about 600 years, and it's going to end around 1000 BC. The exact numbers are on your timeline if you're interested. And today we're going to focus on the geography, so that's the umbrella of culture and the umbrella of land, right? And so that's why we're going to look at the rivers, the mountains, and the deserts and why they formed their first dynasty where they did. So let's take a look. Let's do 4 vocabulary words first. So dynasty is your first word, and dynasty is a series of rulers from the same family. You can make your second card for unify. It means to join together for a common purpose. Emerge is different than the word merge. Emerge means to become known. And when I say known in this case, it means more famously known rather than just I know you. And rely. When you rely on someone, you are dependent, to be dependent. So, for example, maybe you rely on your agenda to help remind you for your homework. That would be a good way to use the sentence, the word in a sentence, rely. We will be breaking into tracks in just a moment. So when you see your track, you want to make sure you're doing the work of your color track. And of course, it's listed at the top, the name of the track. You'll see now that the table of contents is color coded. So red means G track, green is for T track, and blue means for both. So we all have pages 1 through 7 already. Now you can see that the Shang cause and effect graphic organizer is for G track, the Shang main idea graphic organizer is for T track, and blue is for both. These graphic organizers can be found also in the Schoology the Schoology Shang Dynasty folder. You could always come here to the class and get them out of the I don't have that bin. This is what the G-Track graphic organizer looks like. Make sure you number it at the bottom, page 8. This is the T-Track graphic organizer, and here's the active listening sheet. Please write the guiding question at the top. How did the Shang dynasty impact the history of China? You're listening for the rise, the accomplishments, and the fall of the dynasty. So how did it come to be? What are the good things that happened during the dynasty, and why did it come to an end? That would be the fall. You only have to write the red guiding question at the top. The blue is for your reference, but if you're not going to remember what to listen for, you probably want to write that down also. So here is a map of the Shang dynasty. What it's showing you is the modern day outline of modern day China. This is Mongolia, we have Russia, North and South Korea, Taiwan, the Philippines start over here, here's Vietnam, Nepal, and over here is India. And so what it's asking you to do is look at the orange section. It tells you in the key that that's the land under the rule. So what can you infer from the map by looking at the Shang dynasty? Maybe you infer that for 4,000 years in the past, it's actually quite large. Or maybe you're saying, oh, it's not that big compared to modern China, which is also true. But also remember that the communication and lack of transportation really would limit the size of the dynasty. Okay, so here's the work you have to do. If you're G-Track, you are working on page 278, 281 out of your text packet. Again, the texts are up on Schoology if you don't have them at home, or you can get them here in the I don't have that bin. You have a reference in your green section that reminds you how to chunk your text and then how to write the gist in each margin. There are guiding questions there as well. So if you forget how to do that, please go to your green section and find it. It has an owl at the top. It says tips for annotating texts to remind you how to do that. Remember G-Track, that's the work. And then the graphic organizer is just there to help you study for the test. But when you're ready to do your graphic organizer, which is always homework, so if you didn't finish it in class, you always have to go home and finish it for the next class. So you always have 2 nights to get it finished. You want to make sure you're using the text. If you were absent from class, of course, you want to make sure you get that and do the work before you come to class, as I'll be going over the answers the next class. So then after you do that, G-Track, You want to go to Schoology into the Shang Dynasty folder, watch the 2 videos, and take active listening notes on page 9. Always practice writing vocabulary vault sentences. That's how you study vocabulary for 6th grade social studies. It's not enough anymore to just do the flashcards. And you can watch the Asia Countries review video when you're 100% finished with all of that work. So G-Track, that is your work that you need to do. T-Track, if you missed class, we worked together. So we started with the videos. You want to watch the videos, take active listening notes on page 9. And then we read some text and we filled in our graphic organizer. And then I taught them how to work on their ABC chart. So you want to make sure that you have page 8 in your binder. And these are some of the important things, T-Track, that you have to remember. The Shang Dynasty was formed near 2 rivers, the Huanghe and the Yangtze. The Huanghe is also known as the Yellow River. So when you're looking at a map, you may see it named as the Yellow River. It's also the Huanghe. And of course, it was formed near these 2 rivers. When you look at a map and see where the rivers are, they're centrally located right off the ocean and right in the middle of what I say is the chicken's belly when you look at modern-day China. And they used the rivers, of course, for transportation and trade. When you increase trade in a dynasty, you're increasing its money, and that money equals power. So that's why it's important to have been formed near those 2 rivers. It used to be ruled by kings, and then they decided to work together instead of fighting over the land and resources. The kings all decided to come together to form one government. And that's how the first dynasty was formed, was because they stopped the warring and began to work together to form that one central, unified government. The Huanghe is really important to the Shang Dynasty because it brought yellow nutrients or yellow soil called lace, and it provided what the soil needed for growing crops. And so when they could grow more crops, 2 things can happen. They can increase the population, making towns and cities, and also they can trade it, increasing the money. Increasing money means increasing the power of the dynasty. And so that's why you see as our last box that the first towns and cities were built during the Shang Dynasty. You're really truly starting to see civilization begin to form with this dynasty. And remember, we learned that this dynasty was the first dynasty and it was written on oracle bones. And so that's how we've come to know that the dynasty existed during ancient China. So this is how the Shang Dynasty impacted the history of China. If you were absent and you are G or T-Track, this video will help you, but you still want to come and see me and just make sure that you're keeping up with all the expected work, as being absent from this class is hard, but I'm hoping these videos help. Thank you, and again, make sure you come and see me.